Hi friends, in our time together today, I am introducing the Qwistle Low D whistle. I think the rhyme's intentional. This is crafted by Donald W.G. Lindsay, and he's a Scottish craftsman and musician, and does a lot of fascinating things. So I'm actually going to put a couple of links to where you could pick up one of these whistles, and we'll talk about that more at the end. But I just want to let you know I have the links to the Qwistle website and to Lindstruments, which is Donald's website. Just great stuff. He even provides a blueprint. It's like, I think it might be £5 for if you want to 3D print your own high D whistle. I think that's brilliant. And if you've ever done that, let me know. Anyway, but today we're focused on the Qwistle Low D whistle. I'll talk about it physically. We'll dive in. I'll play a scale, some comments on playability, tone, breath requirements, pressure requirements, and I'll play pieces of a few songs because, again, my concern is for you to hear this whistle rather than just see it. Oh, look, a pretty whistle. Now, I want to say from the start, and because I hope I remember, and in case I don't remember at the end, I'm assuming that you may want me to compare this whistle with some other whistles. Please ask. In the comments to this video, please say, oh, I'd like to see and hear that played head-to-head with the following other Low D whistles. And if you own a Qwistle Low D whistle, please comment as well in the comments of this video, letting us all know what you think of yours, because I think it's delightful in a number of ways. But first, let's talk about it physically. It's a very light aluminum body, standard hole spacing. I used Piper's grip on the bottom hand. That's more comfortable for me because, as I always say, I like to use my little finger for stability. A 3D printed head, which is quite fascinating. The head is a little on the larger side, but it's not uncomfortable. And the airway is curved, but it's fairly tall compared to many others. And this, when I get into playability and tone quality, this whistle brings a fascinating combination of characteristics to the way it plays. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you where to pick one up and how much they are. It's a delightful whistle. Now, if you go to the website, you'll often see, I think you still see, two head options. And one is the standard head and the other is the pro head. When I was purchasing this one, there was only one head available. And so I emailed, and Donald and I emailed back and forth a bit. Seems like a lovely gentleman. He said that instead of the lower and the upper end head, he's taken what he feels are the best aspects of both heads, and he's crafted one head. And so that's why that. So first, before talking about the tone and talking about the breath requirements and pressure requirements, let me play a scale for you. All right, I think it has a delightful, warm, leaning, minimally breathy, mellow, all different words we throw out trying to describe the tone of a whistle. You kind of almost have to hear it for yourself. And this is why I think you're going to want me to compare it head to head with some other whistles. because depending upon what you're after, I think this is probably going to be a good option for you. So it's a beautiful tone, up and down. It's not as crisp as a lot of aluminum bodied whistles are, and I think that may be because of the mass of the printed head. But again, the whistle's well balanced, it's very light. You all know that I love expressive playing, which means one of the things I love, well, for me, which means one of the things I love is the ability to vary my volume. This whistle brings that in spades. So you could play, I'm going to do the low D, that bell note. Play it very gently. And I'm going to increase the amount of air and the pressure of my air. See, it took a while to break into the second octave. I think that's brilliant. You could do that up the scale as well. The E. F sharp. I'll stop there. It's a wide range of volume, and you could get that low D really fat, which I like. You have to learn where it breaks. You notice that it broke there on me. And I figured I had learned it where it broke, but obviously I was pushing a bit too much. Let me jump in though and talk about air requirements and breath pressure requirements. All right, so let's dive into that breath pressure and air requirements. And like I showed with the volume, you can play it fairly gently. It's going to take you a bit to learn that though. Trust me. And that's really very light. You could go from that to which is a huge volume range difference there. Now, if I do my normal practice of playing gently and then keeping that standard breath, the amount of air and the pressure of the air, that where do I stop playing? Where does the whistle stop making sound, tone? The E. I can't, with that, the gentleness of the breath pressure in the first octave, I can't even play the E in the second octave. Again, at the G, I need to increase it a bit. The B, I really need to lean on. Oh, but it rings well. I think each of the top end and even the middle of the second octave requires you to learn to focus. However, like on some other whistles that require high breath pressure, you have an awful hard time playing the top of the second octave. And I'm not. Once I learned the correct breath pressure, it took me an awful lot longer on like the MK Pro, for example, to do that. And I'm assuming that's one of the whistles you may want me to play head to head. However, you would naturally assume that when you're playing a whistle with a higher breath pressure, that you're then going to be able to play a longer phrase on a single breath. And I don't find that to be true with the Qwistle. I am having to learn when to breathe. And it's not an air hog, but it's taking about the same amount of air as, say, the Burke. And that might be because of the absolute size of the windway. there. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a sound engineer or a whistle craftsman. That is my assumption. So what I want to do now is, for demonstration purposes and tone purposes, I want to play pieces of a few tunes so that you could really hear this whistle in action. Because I think it's lovely. At first I wasn't sure, and then I spent time learning the breath pressure requirements, and now I think it's just an absolute delight. It didn't take me long, but like I've said before, I never want to introduce a whistle that I've not become friends with. And so I let this whistle teach me how it wants to be played, and now I'm really happy playing it. The burning of the piper's hut, because it's not real low, but it goes down to the first octave F sharp and it goes up to the second octave A. And I think that's a good expression. And it's also a slower tune, so it's going to give you some sense of tone. I'll skip the repeats in the interest of time. And I've chosen the burning of the piper's hut for another couple of reasons. One, as you get into the tune, you want to play this one in a smooth flowing manner. Right around that E on the second octave, you need to have already remembered that you've got to start really pushing some air through this whistle, or you're going to get what I just got, where the E just fell off the map and I got no tone. So you're really going to have to increase your air pressure there. Now, that's the first reason I wanted to do this. Also, in addition to it's a slower tune with tone. The next reason when I get to it is the beginning of the B part where we've got that little bit of octave jump. And that took me a bit to learn because of the breath pressure requirements. But once I learned that, I'm more comfortable with it. And it's not a thing I've got to think about because I know how the whistle plays. So now, finally, burning of the piper's hut. All right. So I think that's just a delight to play. And for reference purposes, I'm keeping the music in tabs there just so that I don't mess something up. Now I wanted to do a bit of Going to the Well for Water. It's a slightly faster tune. But in Going to the Well for Water, it's an octave jump from A, first octave, F sharp, second octave. And so you're thinking, well, if you've got that breath pressure requirements, then, how are you going to make octave jumps? Well, one of the reasons that it's easier, well, you learn your whistle. Secondly, you can lean into the first octave more, which enables you to play the entire whistle bottom to top with a higher breath pressure, which enables you, one, to play it a little louder, but also to more seamlessly hit octave jumps without sounding like you're going. So you can actually push that first octave more so that it sounds a little better. A bit of Going to the Well for Water, and then I'll stop at some point, and I'll ignore the repeats again. See, I wasn't leaning into that enough. You notice I lost I lost my second octave notes. There was a good hint of them there, but they were not solid. I'm going to leave that in for you. Okay, so you can hit those. You've got to lean a little bit more into the first octave, which you can do, and learn to punch the second octave. Finally, I want to do a run through of Clergy's Lamentation, because it spends a bit more time in that lower octave, goes to the second octave, and I think it will give us a good sense of the lovely tone of the whistle. And again, I'll ignore repeats simply in the interest of time. Though when we're done, I'm playing through the whole tune. Okay, see, I think the tone is lovely from this whistle. Wake my iPad back up so I could see the pricing. Now, I do like how it plays. I do tend, if I'm going to play it for a longer period, I'll wear hearing protection because it gets a lot louder in that second octave. But in that first octave, just random notes to show some of that tonal quality just a little bit more. I love it. And again, please let me know which other low D whistles you would like me to compare this head to head. I'll be delighted to do that. I really like the tone of this. And I'm looking now at some of my other low Ds that I really like. This joins the low Ds I really like. And I actually want to play some of them head to head. So even if you don't ask, I'm going to do it. Just, 2 or 3 at a time to hit some ranges of playability, breath pressure, and air requirements. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, let me tell you where you could pick one of these up. You could pick one up from Lindstruments. Go to the Qwistle website, or just flutes. I'll put all those website links in the bottom, and the pricing is the same on the Lindstruments and the Just Flutes website. So 145 pounds plus shipping, which is about $188 to give you 2 currencies there. That's for the aluminum one. There is one that has a plastic body, and that is 95 pounds, $123. I imagine it's a little softer and more mellow. I've heard it played, but I've not personally played it, so I can't definitively say. So really, under $200 for a very impressive whistle. I think, if you want that warmth, that range of volume, I think for under $200, this is a good option for you. But remember, it does have slightly higher breath requirements and breath pressure requirements, which is a fascinating combination. But I'm enjoying playing it. And again, if you have one, please comment in the comments to this video. If you purchased one of those 3D printer blueprints from the Lindstrument website, and you printed a high D from them, how'd that go? I've got a friend, I'm pretty sure, has the 3D printer, and I might buy it and ask him to print it for me. I guess I'd have to buy the spool of stuff or whatever that is. My friends, I hope this is helpful. Another really nice low D whistle on the market. If you're brand new and checking us out because of this review, please subscribe and join our great community of folks learning to play the whistle together. Until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling, friends.